News Central now begins at this hour with developments from the telecom tariff increase in Nigeria. The Nigeria Labour Congress has declared a nationwide protest to begin on Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. Now, this is a process of the 50% telecom tariff increase recently approved by the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC. According to a communique signed by the NLC president, Joe Ajeri, on Wednesday, the decision was taken at an emergency meeting convened by the union's National Administrative Council. The protest, according to the NLC, will serve as a warning on the dangers of imposing such unfair increase on the struggling population earning a minimum wage of only 70,000 naira. It has directed its affiliates and state council to begin full mobilization in preparation for the nationwide protest. And for more on this, we're joined by a public affairs analyst, and that's Jide. Good morning. Glad to have you join me on the news.
Good morning, Adebola. It's my pleasure.
All right, Mr. Ojo, what are your thoughts on the strike action declared by NLC over the telecom tariff hike?
Thank you. I think Nigerian labor unions should tread very carefully, not overstretch and overreach themselves. It's quite unfortunate that the tariff for telecommunication services has been increased by 50%. Quite unfortunate. I, as a subscriber, does not want it. I have 4 lines, and I've had to contend with using one now because of obvious, cost of recharging those 4 lines. And I rather would want the status quo to remain. But the reality that stares you and I in the face is that these telecom operators are private sector investors, and they got their license with huge sums of money. I recall way back in 2001, MTN, Airtel, and one other paid as much as $285 million to get licensed. And from that time, they have had to build the infrastructure single-handedly. Ask yourself, what has government done to incentivize the telecom sector? Nothing. Nothing. Even the Airtel line that was reserved for the old Nitel has gone moribund. It's gone under. You see, NLC needs to understand that businessmen are in business to make profit. And I do know that telecom operators today pay as much as 39 different taxes. They import over 80% of what they use for their operations. We know what the exchange rate is now. We know how depreciated Naira has become.
Well, just to chip in there, Mr. Ojo, having said all you have said, talking about the Nigeria Labour Congress, to tread carefully, I mean, what other options can they explore when it comes to discussing these grievances with the government?
Now, the sensible thing for them to do is to engage the telecom operators and the NCC to plead with them, not to threaten them. These are private sector investors. They chose to take risks to invest in Nigerian sector when many local investors were very apprehensive about putting their money in this country. And if after engaging with NLC, with NCC and TU and the telecom operators, if they don't budge, then they can resort to litigation, but not to disrupt services. Do we know how the disruption of services, how much it will cost per day, not just to the telecom operators, but to individuals who rely on these networks for their daily living? We should not cut our nose to spite our face. The bottom line is that government of Nigeria needs to do better by improving the infrastructure so that price can come down. These telecom operators have to provide their own electricity to power their base stations. They have to source foreign exchange. They are not getting any rebate or subsidized forex. And all of these things that are supposed to be done to ease doing business in Nigeria has not been done. Look at the state of insecurity. Many of the masts and base stations of these telecom operators have been burnt down and vandalized by bandits. Just last year, the Minister of Power told Nigerians that they spent 8 billion plus to restore vandalized transmission towers. Did you ask the telecom operators how much they spent, how many billions they spent to restore those base stations that has been vandalized by bandits and criminal elements? So what NLC should do is not to threaten, it's not to call out workers and disrupt services, it's to engage constructively. It's not everything that Aluta will solve. These people took a huge risk. Like I said, over 80%. What I learned is that only 16% of what this telecom uses are provided locally. They source only 16% of their input from the Nigerian ecosystem. 84% are imported. And they have to import with foreign exchange. And you know what the exchange rate to Naira is. Now, federal government of Nigeria removed fuel subsidy, and that has resulted to over 500% increase in the pump price of PMS. NLC did not say that they will shut down the economy. After all those things, the government bought, the federal government restored subsidy. We should not overreach ourselves. Look at what is happening. The DSTVs of this world and the StarTimes and all the digital television services, have they not been increasing their rates per annum?
Well, Mr. Ojo,
the telecom operators did not increase their tariff for 12 years, since 2013. And as the price of commodities remains same, what about the rising cost of doing business? These are facts that we need to engage.
Just to chip in there,
just be too emotional in all of this.
If I may, just to chip in there, Mr. Ojo, some persons believe the NLC is just acting within the ambit of their duty, which is to fight for the masses. But then do you see this scheduled strike achieving its desired results?
It cannot, and it will not. It will not, because they are going about the wrong way. I have said that you need to constructively engage and appeal. I have thought that if I thought there would be an increase, it should not be more than 20 to 30% increase. But the NCC in its wisdom said 50%. But I'm sure that this 50% will not be an annual thing. It's possibly for another 10 years or 15 years, they may not be allowed to increase the price of their services. So why then do you want them to run at a loss? Is it a crime to do business profitably in Nigeria? I think what the NLC should be doing is to say, look, okay, these telecom operators who are making super profit, go on Nigerian Stock Exchange, let Nigeria also buy into these blue chip companies so that Nigerians can also make more money for themselves. Or, you know, the NLC should not forget that their own workers who are working for these telecom operators are also demanding wage increase. They also want to be paid minimum wage. And how will these companies be able to pay? Did you know last year, Adebola, go and fact check me on this. Last year, the MTN and Airtel declared they declared losses in Nigeria because of this Naira depreciation. Fact check me on this. They declared humongous losses because of the exchange rate. Now, the Nigerian government is the one that floated Naira, that made the currency to be highly depreciated. They are the one that removed subsidy. Now, the operations of these telecom operators are based on, they are very capital intensive. I've told you how insecurity impacts on these telecom operator services. I've told you how the removal of subsidy affects them, and their own workers are also demanding for better pay. The vendors are demanding for better pay because there's a whole value chain that are also profiting from the telecoms. It's not just the taxes, 39 or 40 taxes that they pay to federal, state, and local government. What about those who are doing businesses for them, those who are supplying them diesel, those who are doing adverts for them? They also run adverts on televisions. They also do, they even have foundations.
Well, I'm afraid we're pressed for time, Mr. Ojo. We'll have to bring you back.
Foundation. So what I'm saying
Mr. Ojo,
is that,
can you hear me? I wish we had more time. We're pressed for time now. Thank you so much for your insight regarding this proposed strike by the NLC. Jide Ojo is a public affairs analyst. Many thanks indeed for your time.
Adebola, it's my pleasure.
The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, has issued a strong warning to the state governments and other employers, threatening decisive action against those who fail to implement the new 70,000 Naira national minimum wage and corresponding salary adjustment by the end of the first quarter of 2025. And speaking at the national leadership retreat of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities in Abuja on Wednesday, the association's president, Mohammed Ibrahim, who also serves as the national internal auditor of the NLC, criticized state governments and institutions delaying or manipulating wage payments. Ibrahim accused some employers of treating the wage increase as an award rather than fully implementing it, and warned of serious consequences for non-compliance. Reaffirming the NLC's commitment, he assured Nigerian workers that the union would take all necessary steps to ensure full enforcement of the new wage structure. Following a fracas at the National Secretariat of Nigeria's opposition party, the PDP, during its 79th Board of Trustees meeting in Abuja, the chairman of the board says that reports that the Secretariat has been taken over by security operatives are false and frivolous. The chairman, Adolphus Wabara, addressed these claims while presenting the resolution of the board regarding the state of the nation and the party. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, tells us more.
The altercation began shortly after the opening ceremony of the 79th Board of Trustee meeting, when an aide to Samuel Anyanwu, a factional national secretary, confronted Sunday Ude Okoye, forcefully ejecting him from the hall over disputes regarding the party's national secretary position. An attempt by Ude Okoye to re-enter the venue of the meeting sparked a confrontation. Despite the chaos, the meeting proceeded, with the BOT chairman intervening to declare that despite the internal crisis, the party has the mechanism in place to address its challenges.
For clarity, we want to mention here that there are no security operatives in Wadata House. We are again one good family. You can see distinguished Senator Anyanwu is there, Ude Okoye is also here, and members are here since 11 o'clock. So if we are to remain here till tomorrow, we will still find these men here.
Wabara, while highlighting the resolutions of the board, criticized the All Progressives Congress for what he described as a deteriorating state of the nation due to their policies.
On the national front, the Board of Trustees expresses concerns over the worsening economic and security situation, social dislocation, and total sense of hopelessness in the country due to the ill-conceived and ill-implemented policies of the All Progressives Congress.
He called for immediate actions to be taken by the administration to halt all its anti-people policies.
The Board of Trustees demands that the APC administration immediately rescinds all its anti-people policies and takes urgent steps to stimulate the productive sector, create jobs, and revamp the ailing economy.
The BOT says that it has established a committee to engage with all aggrieved members in a bid to address the current crisis regarding the National Secretary position. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Still on party politics, the All Progressives Congress, APC, has expelled a former Minister of Interior and ex-Osun State Governor, Rauf Aregbesola, over alleged anti-party activities. Aregbesola is involved in an ongoing dispute with the Osun chapter of the APC, which has led him to form a faction within the party called the Omoluabi Progressives. A letter from the APC leadership on Wednesday officially confirmed Aregbesola's expulsion. The letter stated in part, quote, "At the end of the investigation, the State Executive Committee considered the reports of the disciplinary committee, and having carefully reviewed the findings and recommendations, the SEC resolved to approve your immediate expulsion from the APC," end of quote. The meeting of the regional leaders from the Lake Chad Basin states commenced on a positive note with the approval of funding by the African Development Bank, AFDB, for a crucial feasibility study aimed at exploring possibility of recharging Lake Chad. The leaders are reaffirming their commitment to tackling insecurity, climate change, and the humanitarian crisis affecting the region. Our correspondent Umaru Kirawa tells us more.
Lake Chad area in Africa's Sahel region has been plagued by the scourge of Boko Haram and other humanitarian crises for over 15 years. Rebuilding the Lake Chad Basin, commitment to peace, cross-border cooperation, security and sustainable development for a resilient community set the tone for the 5th Lake Chad Governors Forum.
This forum remains a beacon of hope, serving as the cornerstone for strengthening and promoting good governance, cross-border cooperation, dialogue, and coordinated action among the Basin 8 territories.
Our own strategy, spanning the years 2025 to 2077, is backed by a total budget of $2.7 billion.
We want to assure you that we're here together with you and for the Lake Chad region to flourish all the way.
Discussions centered on securing funding for critical infrastructure projects, enhancing regional trade, and ensuring the safe return of displaced persons.
Our responses must be coordinated, regional, and inclusive. This year's theme reminds us of the interconnectedness of peace, security, development, and resilience.
It is essential to sustain the positive outcomes of the stabilization strategy and the work of the multinational joint task force.
Boko Haram and the so-called Islamic State in West Africa province is equal. Yet none of these groups stand a chance against the collective strength of the state, let alone a multinational arrangement such as ours.
The shrinking of Lake Chad remains a pressing concern, with experts warning of worsening food insecurity if urgent measures are not taken in discussions over the next 3 days.
What our ambition is to see the stabilization of the region, and then to see that there are more funding, because some of the main donors like USAID especially, they have withdrawn from the pool.
The challenge now is channeling resources, the strategies and commitment to match words with action toward addressing the over 15 years of Boko Haram and other humanitarian crises in the Lake Chad region, which the leadership of the region pledged to do. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Thank you for staying tuned. Nigeria's Minister of Interior says that over 3.2 billion naira was generated in 2024 through receipts collected from its expatriate quotas payments. The minister, during a maiden media parley with journalists in Abuja, says several reforms have been initiated with an aim at repositioning the nation's correctional services, immigration and civil defense corps, and improving their service delivery to citizens. Amadine Oyi now reports.
It was the first media parley of the year. The permanent secretary of the ministry highlighted the agenda for the meeting.
We want to put what we've been able to achieve in 2024 before you, and also what we intend to do in 2025. The challenges we face are significant, but we also have opportunities.
The Minister of Interior gave details of the deliverables for the ministry, which supervises several internal security and paramilitary agencies.
The core responsibility of the Ministry of Interior is, of course, citizenship integrity, as well internal security, and as well as supervision of key agencies under the purview of the ministry.
While giving a lengthy scorecard of the achievements of the ministry in the last 1 year, he says that tremendous revenue was generated through expatriate quota payments and marriage registry receipts.
Part in expatriate quota last year, the government was able to realize about 3.2 billion naira from expatriate quota alone. And of course, this is not about just giving quota to people, it's about application fees. Last year, the department was able to generate about 6,034,457,000 naira. That is over 50%, increase.
The minister says that reforms to reposition the nation's correctional service, immigration, and civil defense corps has been put in place to improve their efficiency and performance. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Angry protesters besieged the Federal High Court in Abuja, demanding the immediate release of activist and politician Omoyele Sowore. The protesters, carrying several placards, called the arraignment of Sowore by the police officers over offences bordering on cybercrime a sham, an affront on the rights of citizens. Our correspondent, Joshua Marai, who was on ground, now reports.
These protesters chanted songs of solidarity despite the heavy presence of police, demanding the immediate release of activist and politician Omoyele Sowore. They also called on the government to release all individuals currently being detained for participating in any form of protest in the country.
Sowore, just because he's asking for the right thing, he's also under arrest. He's on trial now, and we say drop the charges against him now. Drop the charges against him now.
Come January 30th, 2025, Honorable Justice Musa Suleiman Liman is expected to rule on the bail applications presented before him by the counter representing Sowore, who has prayed the courts to grant Sowore bail based on self-recognizance.
There is a 16-count charge filed against Mr. Sowore in court today, all centered on his challenge on the illegal occupation of the office of the IG by the present occupants. Section 367 of the police regulations prohibits the filing of a charge of this nature by a police officer who is using the instrument of his office as a tool of settling personal vendetta.
I'm urging the Nigerian police to stop abusing his power, his office. What he's doing is abuse of power, abuse of office, simpliciter. There's no any other name for it. How can you be because somebody criticizes you? You are using taxpayers' money to prosecute and victimize your critic, because he has criticized you, he has called you illegal. If somebody says you are an illegal IG, you will just ignore him now if you are not illegal.
Sowore, however, revealed his reasons for declining the administrative bail offered to him by the police.
I cannot, in good conscience, continue to participate in illegality. The courts have made it very clear that the police have no right to grant administrative bail that asks for civil servants to own, first and foremost, 100 million naira houses, which is a crime. That's corruption.
Omoyele Sowore is expected to be in the custody of the intelligence response team of the Nigerian Police Force, pending the ruling on his bail application. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarai.
Ahead of the adjourned date for resumption of proceedings, the activist also took time to explain in detail why he believes that the conditions set for his bail are illogical.
In 1992, when I was a student leader, Tinubu was a senator, and I was more powerful than him in the Nigerian society. So how dare them ask me? And I can guarantee you that at that time, Ebetukun probably had just joined the police and he was a sergeant, or that is if he had not forged his age.
Staying with security matters, the Assistant Inspector General of Police, AIG, in charge of Zone 7, Abuja, says operatives have arrested a suspect linked to the abduction of 20 medical students in Benue State in 2024. AIG Benneth Igwe said the suspects and 2 others, now at large, are members of a gang that specializes in armed robbery and kidnapping in Benue State and its environs. In August 2024, the victims, students of the University of Maiduguri and University of Jos, were ambushed by gunmen around the Otukpo area of the state. They were reportedly traveling for the Federation of Catholic Medical and Dental Students Annual Convention in Enugu State. The AIG adds that the suspect confesses to being a member of a gang responsible for the abduction of the students in 2024. The National Assembly is calling for increased funding for the National Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA, to enhance water transportation in Nigeria. And during a budget presentation before the Joint Committee on Marine Transport, the body's managing director, Bola Oyebamiji, highlighted the agency's challenges, including poor infrastructure and frequent accidents. Lawmakers emphasized the need for substantial investment to improve safety and efficiency. Oyebamiji stressed the economic importance of waterways and outlined plans for acquiring vessels and constructing inland ports. The body has proposed a revenue target of 34.39 billion naira for 2025, with 9.05 billion naira set for remittance into the Consolidated Revenue Fund.
By the time we are using water for transportation, a lot of money is put into road construction. And by the time this construction is being made, in less than a year, you see that the road will break down because of the traffic and and of course the truck and all that, the pressure on the road. By the time we begin to now do that, you will be decongesting the road, and then it will make this road to last. And of course, it's cheaper. And in terms of safety, when you travel through water, it makes a lot of things easy for you. And of course, there will be a lot of economic activities. And those people that live in the hinter area will also have access to some of these goods and services that ordinarily they cannot have access to it.
We all accede to your request that the same attention being given to the roads and the air transport should be given to the sea or marine transport. Yes. We echo that, and the 2 major issues today are the dredging and the accident on our waterways. For the dredging, we also will take that up, and then we'll write to the necessary ministry, and even if necessary, the president, to make sure that if you give somebody KPI, an agency KPI, it must be funded for them to achieve the KPI.
Inland waterways have now become death traps. Every year, we lose hundreds and hundreds of lives. So I think the removal of wrecks and logs is very, very important. And not only that, at times, overloading on some of the boats that are used is a major cause of accident and is a major cause of death. The proposed 2025 budget, emphasis was placed on security and safety, that's acquisition of security patrol boats and rehabilitation of search and rescue stations, channel maintenance, patch dredging of 1,000-kilometer navigable inland waterways, removal of wrecks and logs within inland waterways, mechanical and manual clearing of water icings, and other hydrological consultancy services. If sufficient attention is placed on the inland waterways through adequate budgetary allocation, water transportation will have developed significantly with a positive impact on citizens and the nation at large.
The European Union has pledged its commitment to support Nigeria's democratic process in a bid to grow the nation's democracy. The head of the EU delegation to Nigeria and the ECOWAS during a visit to the INEC headquarters in Abuja says that the EU will continue to stand by Nigeria as a formidable partner sharing its experiences without interference on the nation's sovereignty. The chairman of the Nigeria's electoral body, while commending the EU, says that the contributions in the past has catalyzed amazing results visible through gains made in the last few years.
For several years, particularly since the restoration of democracy in Nigeria in 1999, EU's partnership with the Commission and other stakeholders has helped to consolidate the electoral and democratic process in Nigeria. There has been incremental improvement in our electoral process over the last 6 electoral cycles. However, we also appreciate that a lot of work lies ahead. We welcome EU's assistance and assurance of continuous engagement and collaboration with the Commission as we approach the third phase of the European Union support to democratic governance in Nigeria, the EU SDGN, under which funding support is provided to several institutions and groups that play a role in democracy and governance in Nigeria.
This cooperation is based on respect for each other's sovereignty. We are not here to teach lessons or to dictate what you have to do, just to bring some of our experience, learn from you, and bring some expertise. And this is what we try to do, always give the best quality expertise we can find in the European Union.
The people of communities that traverse the Onu-Iyang-Okporo-Enyi Road in Abia State, southeast Nigeria, say reconstruction of the road will resuscitate brotherhood and friendship among the people. They say it will also ease transportation of farm produce from their communities to markets of choice in Okwano or Bende local government area of the state. Chinwe Ugile has details.
A 13-kilometer road connecting 2 local government areas and about 4 communities. The Onu-Iyang-Okporo-Enyi Road has been in a bad state for over 4 decades. Although it is currently undergoing reconstruction, the people can still recall their plight on this road just a few months ago.
We have been suffering for quite a long time. Over 70 years ago, this road has nothing has done over this road.
It has been affecting us because the communication between him and Amon and the calendar, even though is zero, but it's cut off.
One of these communities before now could only deposit their dead in the mortuary if they bear corpses on their heads to cross over to a motorable place, owing to the deplorable state of the road.
We suffer a lot. If you are coming back, if you remember here, your heart will cut because when you get to the Onu-Iyang Junction, it's Operation Pull Your Shoe.
Abia State government plans to flag off reconstruction of the road on Thursday.
Interestingly, that road project straddles 2 senatorial zones of Abia North and Abia Central.
The people are hopeful that the present government will complete the work, having started it as promised.
We are not doubting of this road. By the grace of God, by this time next year, this road will be motorable everywhere. Wherever you want to go, you go.
The major impact of the road will be easing the link between the various communities of Okwano and Bende and allowing them to access healthcare services whenever they need to.
It is going to help us in everything, both agricultural, relationship, everything. You know, I'm telling you, for us, the other day I just drove from here to Nkalonta. I feel like I've come back home.
This place is a blessed land. We have so many crash crops like cocoa, timber, okra, rice. So with this road now, they will not be spending much money by carrying from here to market.
This is the Amawom end of the Onu-Iyang-Okporo-Enyi Road here in Abia State that is being constructed or reconstructed by the Abia State government. The people are happy that after decades of neglect by various governments that have been in power in the state government is now taking up the project to create accessibility to the communities in Amawom. Ikuano local government area of Abia State. For News Central, I am Chinwe Ugeli.
The Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice in Plateau State, Philemon Daffy, says no stone will be left unturned in ensuring that those found guilty of human trafficking in the state are made to face the full wrath of the law. And this, the Attorney General was speaking at the end of the first hearing of a one-count charge of child trafficking and a three-count charge of child trafficking, selling of human beings and procuring of same by one pastor, one prophetess, and three others at the Plateau State Industrial Court on Wednesday. News Central Chizobanyanwe, who was at the court for the arraignment of the suspect, reports that the accused persons who pleaded not guilty were arrested independently in 2024 after security agencies intercepted them with the children ranging from 3 years old and older. Among the 5 suspects, 2 had earlier been granted administrative bail, while one woman, the pastor and the prophetess, were remanded in the State Correctional Service pending when and if they are able to meet up with their bail conditions. Justice Galadima Ibrahim thereafter adjourned hearings to the 30th and 31st of January 2025.
Every day of the week, we are very prepared. We have proof of evidence, we have filed, we have witnesses, we are ready to proceed as the business of the court will permit. There is no challenge. It's just that we want to handle a menace that is taking over our communities. We are decisive on this and will crush any man or woman that is involved in this. We make a clear statement on this. We will not allow our children to be dehumanized. Slave trade is over.
In law, the defendants have 3 options. Okay, 3 options. One of the options is to plead guilty, or to go for plea bargain, or to plead not guilty. And as a defense counsel, you have a duty to have time with them and put them through and let them understand the options. But because of the exigencies of this case, we've not been able to do it. So those are the reasons that necessitated us to make that application.
The Office of the Commissioner of Police handled investigation very speedily, leading to the arraignment that we're witnessing in court today. And by the grace of God, we are also happy with the way the case is going on so far. His Lordship has adjourned the matter from day to day. And we believe that justice, will be achieved for victims of trafficking on the plateau.
The Kano state government has lauded the Tijaniya Islamic sect for its efforts in maintaining peace and harmonious relationship with other sects in Nigeria. And this was as the governor, Abba Yusuf, confirmed joining thousands of the members of the sect on Saturday as they celebrated the 2025 Maulud of the late Sheikh Ibrahim Niass, the spiritual leader of the sect, despite the alleged effort by the police who aborted the program. The police had on Friday attempted to halt the program over an alleged security threat, which the state government dismissed as fake and unfounded.
Gentlemen of the press, it is also my pleasure to inform members of the State Executive Council meeting that I joined thousands of Tijaniya sect members from all walks of life in the celebration of 2025 Maulud celebration, which was held in the state capital, where millions of members of the sect were in attendance. We used that opportunity to pray collectively for peace and harmony to thrive in our beloved state and the country in general. We also prayed for the unity of Muslims.
Thank you for staying with us. Democratic Republic of Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi has criticized the international community for its inaction as conflict intensifies in the country's east warning of the potential for regional escalation. Fighting has erupted in the key city of Goma, where Tutsi-led M23 rebels, backed by Rwandan forces, entered the city center on Sunday night after weeks of territorial gains. The latest offensive marks a remarkable escalation in the long-running conflict in DR Congo's mineral-rich east, a region plagued by violence between armed groups backed by regional powers since the 1994 Rwandan genocide. The United Nations reports that the crisis has triggered a worsening humanitarian emergency, with 500,000 people displaced since the start of the year.
La présence de milliers de soldats rwandais sur notre sol, leur soutien politique, logistique et militaire à leur pantin du M23, ainsi que leur implication dans l'exploitation illégale de nos ressources naturelles, nous conduisent tout droit à une escalade aux conséquences imprévisibles, mettant en danger toute la région des Grands Lacs. Votre silence et votre inaction face à la barbarie du régime de Kigali et aux atrocités perpétrées par ces supplétifs sur notre territoire constituent un affront non seulement à la République démocratique du Congo, mais également...
A U.S. passenger plane carrying 64 people crashed into Washington, D.C.'s icy Potomac River on Wednesday night after a mid-air collision with a military helicopter during a training exercise. The incident has triggered a major emergency response and a temporary grounding of all flights. The aircraft, operated by an American Airlines subsidiary, was on its final approach to Reagan National Airport after departing from Kansas. The airline confirmed that 60 passengers and 4 crew members were on board. A U.S. Army official stated that the helicopter involved was a Black Hawk carrying 3 soldiers, though their status remains unknown. A large-scale search and rescue operation is underway, with divers plunging into the snow-lined Potomac as emergency teams work to locate survivors. Kenya and Egypt have signed 12 memorandums of understanding aimed at enhancing trade, investment, education, and technology exchanges. President William Ruto stated that these agreements will boost cooperation in areas such as political consultation, gender equality, and sustainable development. He proposed establishing a joint business council to explore new trade opportunities and eliminate barriers for a more efficient trading environment. Ruto praised President El-Sisi's leadership in promoting peace in the region and expressed confidence in the continued growth of the economic and diplomatic partnership. In the world of sport, Victor Boniface's highly anticipated transfer to Saudi Arabia's Al Nassr collapses as the club opted to sign Aston Villa's John Duran instead. The Colombian striker was secured a €77 million deal, including add-ons, which led to the cancellation of Boniface's move. Negotiation for Boniface had been progressing with the Saudi delegation in Germany to finalize terms, but Al Nassr decided against completing the transfer. Shortly after, the Riyadh-based club turned their focus to Duran, who agreed to personal terms and is set to sign a long-term contract. The 21-year-old forward will undergo a medical and, once completed, join the Al Nassr's studded roster featuring Cristiano Ronaldo and others. Match day 3 of the 2024-25 Nigeria Women Football League Premiership delivered a thrilling encounter as top teams dropped points, underdogs impressed, and debutants struggled. Edo Queens and Remo Star Ladies played out a dramatic 1-1 draw in Benin City, and in both teams' perfect start, but keeping them unbeaten at the top of Group A. Rivers Angels dominated FC Robo Queens 4-2, while Adamawa Queens secured their first win, with Omon Afensimi netting a hat-trick against Delta Queens. Bayelsa Queens crushed debutants Benue Queens 5-1, while Nasarawa Amazons edged Confluence Queens 1-0. Ekiti Queens and Niger Rattles also secured vital wins, while Heartland Queens and Abia Angels settled for a goalless draw in the Oriental Derby. And that's all on the news. Let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Nigeria Labour Congress to hold nationwide protests over telecom tariff hike. PDP Board of Trustees set up panel to resolve dispute over National Secretary position. We also told you that DR Congo's president condemns global inaction as conflict escalates. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adeduba.